The Orlando Magic made news recently. I mean, apparently they made a donation, and they made a donation to the Super PAC for presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. Um, their GM is black. His name is Anthony Parker. Most of their players are black. Their head coach, Jamal Mosley, is black as well. Um, but they don't own the team. RDV Sports owns the team, and obviously that has a lot to do with the DeVos family, who don't really speak publicly about their political contributions, but nevertheless, that's relevant here. You see that picture? That's Anthony Parker right there, the new GM, just named the GM last month. Orlando, damn good player, really, really good guy, deserving of that opportunity. I'm happy for him. Jamal Mosley, the coach of the Orlando Magic, is a young brother that just got the job there in Orlando a couple of years ago, and I think that he's got tremendous promise, and he'll do good things. They're obviously both conscientious, but one could easily argue the same can't be said for the organization. I'm not here to excoriate the Orlando Magic. Um, in fairness to them, let's make sure that we highlight some of the details. Number one, it was a $50,000 donation to the Never Back Down Incorporated Political Action Committee that supports the presidential campaign of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. According to records filed to the Federal Election Committee, the donation was received on June 26th. The Magic initially emailed a statement to USA Today Sports. I'm reading from USA Today Sports on this past Wednesday, where they indicated, or rather today, where they indicated that they don't publicly comment on political contributions. Yet hours later, a spokesperson sent an update saying the check was dated and delivered May 19th. Here's the weak part of that statement. DeSantis formally announced his presidential campaign May 24th. You, as an organization, are saying that you made your donation days earlier. You didn't know Ron DeSantis was going to be running for governor? I'm sorry, running for president. You didn't know? See, that's where, all you had to do was just be quiet. All you had to do was say, we're supporting the governor of our state. That's it. That's all you had to say, which is what you said in the statement. But what you did was try to camouflage it by saying, well, we made this donation before he formally announced his presidency, when everybody and their mother knew, even when he won the election during the midterms, by about 19%, by the way, it was a landslide. Everybody and their mother knew he was running for president. So why are you using that as an excuse? Evidently, you felt uncomfortable with the world knowing that you made that donation because you got a black GM and you got a black coach and you got black players. And evidently, you felt a bit uncomfortable. Now you're going to do what you're going to do. And you got a right to donate to whomever you want. And everybody in our society is not liberal, progressives, and leftists. There's a whole bunch of conservatives. There's a whole bunch of GOP folks. There's a whole bunch of Republicans, okay? We get all that. But stand on who you are and just be done with it. The Orlando Magic didn't do that, and that's unfortunate, okay? But to me, there's a bigger story here. And the bigger story here is no matter what side you're going to take, let me stand up and support Jonathan Isaac. He is a black player, born in the Bronx, drafted 6th overall in 2017, if I remember correctly, who plays for the Orlando Magic. Staunch Donald Trump supporter. Let me applaud him, because at least you know where he stands. He ain't ducking and weaving and dodging. When the whole protest was going on in the aftermath of the George Floyd murder, and there was protests going on all over the place, and even before that, when there were people who refused to stand for the national anthem because of the whole Colin Kaepernick fiasco, Jonathan Isaac stood. And Jonathan Isaac refused to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. I'm not saying that I agree with the decision. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's made it clear where he stands. Where the hell else is all of these other athletes? Where are you? We've got a governor in Florida that has made a plethora of decisions that the LGBTQ community has found offensive, that the black community has found offensive, that immigrants have found offensive. I mean, hell, we got a governor in Florida that took immigrants from another state and flew them to Martha's Vineyard that had something to do with dropping them off in front of the house of the vice president, if I remember correctly. So where's everybody then? See, this is the part that we got to pay attention to, because what we're after is consistency. If we're going to be a society rife with principles and integrity and making sure we let people know where we stand, where the hell y'all at? I remember taking heat. Because of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. And I supported Colin Kaepernick. I supported him kneeling. I said he's an American citizen. He has that right. I said that. I said he was being blackballed unfairly, I might add, by the National Football League. He didn't violate, not only did he not violate any laws, he violated no bylaws of the National Football League. And it was wrong for them to blackball him. What I did say was one thing. His strategy as it pertained to resolving matters with the National Football League, I didn't think was thoroughly vetted. And as a result, you had black people all over the place going off, feeling like I didn't support Colin Kaepernick. I was a sellout. Jonathan Isaac, no doubt, is going to be perceived that way because he was willing to stand for the national anthem when others were taking the knee. He wasn't down with wearing the Black Lives Matter t-shirt after the George Floyd killing. But we saw a whole bunch of people protesting. See, this is why white America has this level of patience when it comes to us. Just be quiet, let it pass, it'll die down. And then ultimately folks will fade into their own thing again, and they'll get caught up with their own individual lives, and they'll do what they'll do, because who's gonna really stand together and be consistent? Who's gonna really stand together and be consistent? Where are the NBA players? Ron DeSantis, even though he wasn't on the board that came up with some curriculum that was highlighting benefits from slavery, he defended it. He probably appointed some of those board members, for all I know. He actually said, hey, I didn't make the decision, but I assume this is what they meant, and I have no problem with it. And all these professional athletes, particularly those in Miami and Orlando in the NBA, Jacksonville in Miami and Tampa Bay in the NFL, I don't hear anything. Crickets everywhere. Nobody got anything to say? Now, you might not want to go overboard and think that the man should be removed from office and have his whole record ignored because there has been some success in some people's eyes in the state of Florida. But damn, nothing? Nothing? Just nothing. But y'all want to look at Stephen A. Why didn't you say something, Stephen? Why didn't you say something? I speak all the time. I vote. I pay enough attention to policy to understand who I want to vote for and who I don't. I don't lean on a couple of politicians engaging in demagoguery to scare the living hell out of me about how somebody's racist, as if I'm not supposed to look at them like they might be too. I pay attention enough to understand who the hell I'm voting for, to understand who the hell I'm speaking out against and who I'm speaking for. Where y'all at? Nothing? Nothing? Crickets. I may not approve of the Orlando Magic supporting Ron DeSantis because, honestly speaking, I think Ron DeSantis has blown his chance to be a president. The stupidity of his argument against Disney, combined with this argument against teaching black history in Florida schools, combined with his position on immigration, he has fought battles that are absolutely positively senseless to the state of Florida. He has stuck his nose in stuff he had no business sticking his nose in. And oh, by the way, don't think it hasn't cost him. Disney already cost him $1 billion by taking their business elsewhere with the project that Disney was going to engage in building additional facilities. It's already cost the state $1 billion. And it could cost them more. And yes, we all know my day job is with Disney because I work for ESPN. Let me take it a step further by incriminating myself. I know Bob Iger personally. I was just hanging with him last week. I know him personally. And I can tell you one thing about Bob Iger. That's not somebody you want to go up against. We got to know our lanes. We got to know who to mess with and who not to mess with. And Ron DeSantis, good luck with that. All you want to keep thinking something going to happen to Disney more so than it's going to happen to you. Good luck. I ain't standing in that fight. I don't know all the details. That's not something I talk with Bob Iger about. That's far above my pay grade. But I know that man. And I know he don't back down from a fight. And I know when he does fight, he usually wins. Folks looking at Disney, thinking folks are struggling because we laying off folks and stuff like that. Layoffs happen in business all over America. Come look at Disney when the proverbial finish line is crossed. And tell me who won then. Don't come to me in the middle of the fight. This ain't Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford and we screaming for the fight to be stopped before it actually gets stopped. No. Don't work that way. Not against Disney. But Disney ain't the only one. Because that's $1 billion right there. There's others. Black fraternity moves convention out of Florida. That would be the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, the oldest historically black college fraternity in the country. They're moving their planned 2025 convention out of Florida because of the, quote, harmful, racist, and insensitive policies of Governor Ron DeSantis, according to the Associated Press. The general president of the fraternity, Willis Lanzer, said in a statement that the decision was driven in part by Florida's new public school Black History curriculum, which teaches middle school students that enslaved people developed skills that, quote, could be applied for their personal benefit. Remember, the NAACP also recently issued a travel advisory for the state because its policies are hostile to black and LGBTQ folks. It doesn't help that every time we see Ron DeSantis with his staff and his support base around him, you don't see a black dot anywhere, let alone a black person. I'm not saying he doesn't have black employees. I'm saying I haven't seen them. What you doing, hiding them under a rock? Where the hell they at? I mean, damn, there's black conservatives in the state for crying out loud. How about having them around you? It would be nice to see. It's amazing how folks on the right don't get the importance of optics. If you want to represent America, represent America. Is America lily white? Devoid of a tan? Are they orange like Donald Trump? I mean, what the hell? There's black people, there's light-skinned black people, there's white folks with a tan. There's Latinos, there's Asian Americans, there's Native Americans. You got all types of folks in the United States of America. And every time you see GOP candidates, they surrounded by folks who are so damn clear you look like you can see right through them. And you wonder why the rest of the folks don't feel like they represent it. Pay attention. Pay attention. Props to the Alpha Phi Alpha community. I agree with my big brother, Joe Madison, Sirius XM, channel 126 every weekday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. The Black Eagle. When he sat up there and the other day and he talked about applauding the Alpha Phi Alpha community. They made a statement. Some idiot called into his show talking about they didn't have a contract. Yes, they did. You got to have a contract to be committed to having the convention in the state. So that's the lie. But that's not the point. Even if they did it, they were willing to make a statement. Everything doesn't have to be legalese. Everything doesn't have to be inked. Statements can be made without all of that. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi community. Rude dog. But let me tell you something right now. Alpha Phi Alpha, props. Major love and congratulations to you for stepping up. I'm making sci-fi. We always going to do that. We always going to do that. That ain't the only thing that I wanted to get to about, get on, only folks that I want to get on about, though. Because let me tell y'all something. I don't know how everybody else feels. But right now, as we sit here today, and I brought up the NBA players and the NFL players, speak about everything else. You can't see the forest from the trees, and how you can stand up and take a position politically to quell the kind of momentum that DeSantis is trying to build, to highlight the level of division he's created with some of the policies that he's invoking in his state and trying to invoke nationally, assuming he wins the presidency. You don't think it's apropos and pertinent for you to get involved? We just want to sit up there? One of us got to get murdered to take a position? It's got to be police brutality to take a position? It's got to be a wannabe cop like George Zimmerman killing Trayvon Martin for us to take a position? Why can't we look at simple politics and take a position? Why can't we look at simple policy and take a position? Why can't we just look and see it for what it is and say, hell no, this is unacceptable? And to reiterate again, I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent. Yes, I do vote Democratic most of the time, but I got conservative belief. I believe in free market capitalism. I believe in national security. I believe our borders should be, when you come in as an immigrant, you should come in legally. And if you gonna come in illegally, get your ass to the back of the line. I'm not talking about children, though. I'm not talking about children. We absolve them at all costs. We protect them at all costs. But if you have to come in here with your parents, you got to come with your parents, because I certainly don't agree with children being separated from their parents. What I am saying, however, is I use the analogy my boy Jeff in L.A. always uses. If I go to Six Flags Great Adventure, or I go to Disney World, or any amusement park for that matter, and I stand on line for 3 hours to get on a ride, and right before it's my turn to get on a ride, somebody who didn't stand in line jumped in front of me, what am I going to do? We all know what we would do. We wouldn't follow the Hope Creed, as Cedric the Entertainer said in Kings of Comedy. We follow the Wish Creed. We wish your brother would skip us and jump in front of the line in front of us. Get your ass back there. That's exactly how we would feel. So let's understand that for what it is. But I digress.